everybody. Very warm welcome to Amazing You podcast and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads-on and emerged victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. So join us, everyone, as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared, everybody, to be inspired and find the strength to navigate life challenges. And I want to say huge thank you to the audience for your support, for watching, for sharing, and for subscribing. And if you are new today, very warm welcome. We are really happy that you are here, and that if you can please share the videos and spread the message so that more people know that they are here for a great reason and they can get helped. So I am Dr. Rani. I am the host, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am a Mars Venus life and relationship coach, astrologer, tarot reader, compassion practitioner, and life force compassion practitioner. And today I am really happy and excited to introduce you all to my very special guest. Her name is Lou Barnes. She's a dyslexia expert. Lou is from the UK. She has been a primary school teacher for 20 years. And she was always drawn in her classes to the boys and the girls who were labeled as naughty and lazy. And she was worried about those children that were quiet, that were anxious, and those ones that didn't want to be there. So welcome, Lou, to Amazing You.
Thank you, Rani. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here.
Thank you for taking your time, Lou. You are very welcome. I really appreciate the time, because at this point, this time of the year, everybody is super busy, and I really, really thank you for that, for sharing your precious time to the audience. So are you ready to kick in, to roll in?
Absolutely.
Okay. So my first question to you, if you could please tell us briefly about your story, how you got involved into becoming a dyslexia expert.
Well, you started it off for me by saying that I was a primary school teacher, and that you're absolutely right. I noticed that every year there were more students in my class who were struggling to read or write, and some of them got labelled as lazy or naughty. And as you so rightly mentioned, some of them were just anxious, nervous, and quiet. And over time, I noticed that the things we were trying to do to help the students read and write more easily just weren't working. There was something really stopping them getting to grips with how words work. So I'm one of these people that if I get an idea into my head, I find it really hard to let it go, which can be good. In this case, it was. And it became so frustrating to me that I was unable to help these children in conventional methods whilst I was teaching. That in the end, I left teaching, honestly, without much of a plan, and just a real vision and desire to find something better. So that has been my mission for 16 years. And thankfully, I did find something that really helps children to move from that stuck state into being able to read and spell more easily. So my journey began because I was frustrated, and it was painful for me to see the children suffering.
Wow, thank you so much, because I can relate to that. Now that I look back, it's only 4 years ago that I've realized I have been dyslexic my whole life, And I can relate to those children because I was an anxious child and I would never raise my hand in the classroom to talk. That was the moment I always feared the most, when the teacher will ask me to read. So I can understand that I was super quiet as well, and never felt I fit in the class compared to my classmates. So that was a struggle that maybe anybody who is listening and watching, you can relate to that, to what Lou is going to share with us more about that. And that is really great that you pick up on those kids, you have identified those kids and you wanted to help them, because these kids, they are super talented, except that we are all unique, and these kids, they have a different way of processing information, a different way of learning. It's not that they should be marginalized and put at the back of the class. So there should be different ways for them to learn, because we all have different learning styles.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. And what I noticed particularly was that these children who struggled to read and write were so clever and so creative. And having done the job I now do for 16 years, I can honestly tell you, I am so privileged because I meet the most creative, clever, amazing humans every day. And it's because they think differently that they have these skills and talents I can only imagine. So yes, you're absolutely right. And I tell my students, the way your brain works is not wrong. It's just different. And that's really important.
Yes, because we are taught that we are, the way the education system is, it shows us that those who can't fit in, they are not the right one to be there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there is a very beautiful story of one of the character in the Think and Grow Rich book. If you remember, that gentleman, when he was little, his mom got a letter from the school, and in that letter it was written that your son cannot attend school because of his low level of achievement, And she got that letter, but what she did, she was a very wise woman. She read that letter to her son, but changed it. She used neuro-linguistic programming, that's what we are going to talk. She changed the language, read that letter to the son and say, the school has decided that you won't be attending because you are too smart. And from that day onwards, she school taught him at home. It was homeschooling, and he became one of the greatest scientists who invented, I think, electricity.
Wow, how wonderful.
Yeah, so I think using that neuro-linguistic programming is very important. So you've experienced that. Can you share with the audience, how did you come across neuro-linguistic programming, and what excites you the most about that technique?
Okay, so I was so fortunate, and I really believe the universe had a plan for me here. I left, as I said, teaching without knowing really what would happen, but just with a deep knowing that something had to change for these children. And at the time, I had I still have wonderful friends, and two completely unconnected friends were both studying neuro-linguistic programming. And I was totally fascinated by it. So I would ask them lots of questions. I've always been really interested in how humans think and feel and behave, and what makes us human, if you like. So I would borrow their books and I would quiz them about it. And in the end, I decided that was the thing to do. I didn't know that was going to be the thing that helped me change the experience of children with dyslexia at the time. All I knew was it would give me so much more understanding of humans and how we think and feel and behave. And that seemed like a really good foundational basis to work from. So then I went and studied with the best trainer I could find, who happened to be Ian McDermott. And it was an amazing course. And I also spoke to some other people who had worked with him. And I have to say, I haven't invented the way I work with dyslexia. I've just packaged it up in a new way. So I learned from Ian, and I learned from some other people as well who had studied NLP with him, and realized that we could use some very simple techniques to help children see and experience words on a page in a way that was useful. Do you want me to sort of talk a little bit about that, or is that something to come later, the actual board?
Yes, thank you, Lou. It's really great, and I think it's beautiful that you've experienced that NLP yourself, you know. You've attended so many courses to help you to get a deep understanding of what NLP is about. So tell the audience, what is NLP and how do you help those children using that technique? How do you help children with those learning difficulties?
Okay, so NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is a huge and very powerful field of techniques and understanding of the subconscious brain. And it is in use worldwide for lots of different things. I'm going to try and explain it in a shorter way as possible. If anybody watching or listening is an NLP expert, do forgive me if I don't give it all the official explanation. This is the way I think of it. So NLP, neuro, the brain, linguistic, the language we use to ourselves and to others, which is so important. Programming just means the patterns we run, our patterns of behavior. So a pattern of behavior could be anything from feeling a certain emotion when we hear a piece of music, to biting our nails when we're nervous, or having a certain feeling when we see a person, anything at all. And it seems like we're not in control because it all comes deep from our subconscious. Our logical brain, the bit we're aware of, the bit we think through and realize we're doing it, that's like the tip of the iceberg for the way we process information. So NLP to me is being able to take a pattern of behavior that is not useful, find out where it's coming from, what's driving that behavior, and then work with the subconscious mind to change that behavior so it is useful. And the other part of NLP is to observe, to carefully observe, and to recreate patterns from successful people. So there's the two strands, the understanding and then watching other people to say, well, I'll give you the classic. What do good spellers do? This was a classic one. And if you watch anybody who's good at spelling, when they're asked to spell a word, they will look up. And I think it was Erickson, but I can't remember, so forgive me if that's incorrect, went all over the world and thousands of people, I think, and observed spellers. And the majority of the good spellers all looked up, which told him they were seeing, visualizing the word when they spelled it. They weren't listening for the sounds. They were seeing the letters. So that enabled him to then teach poor spellers to use that looking up technique to be able to spell. That's a very short explanation. I hope it's helpful. So I use that. That is part of one of the techniques I use in my work with people with dyslexia. But what the main part, what I call the magic, in fact, what my clients call the magic, I know it's not magic. Our brains are magic. We're magic. I'm not particularly, more than anyone else. But people that I work with, somehow their brilliant, wonderful, creative brains are making the letters on the page appear distorted in some way. So whether those letters are blurry or moving or spinning or jumping, or they can see the word, but it won't allow the information to penetrate the mind. And everyone's dyslexia is different, so I can't tell you what everyone sees. So the brain is seeing it in a way that isn't useful. The brain is behaving in a way that isn't useful when it sees letters on a page. It can happen with numbers too. So I am very fortunate to be able to work with someone to change that behavior so that their brain can see the letters and the words clearly and on the page in a way that they can make sense of them. And I do that very simply by playing with a creature. We imagine a creature. And if it's moving, we play with it until it's still, because potentially the letters are moving and we need them to be still. So we play with imaginary creatures. It's loads of fun. And that teaches the brain, oh, we can keep images still, and then it's easier to deal with words. That's just such a very quick whistle-stop tool there.
Thank you so much for sharing those beautiful words with the audience and explaining about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, because for some of the people in the audience today, it might be something new. And it's something very important to understand how we can reprogram our mind, how the way we think. Because we've been programmed by society. It's not our normal programming, Our normal programming is just being covered by those layers of conditioning, of other programming by our family, by our school system, our education, religion, culture, politics, societal programming, media.
So many.
And our own programming is just, it's been lost in that translation. Yes. And I think what you are doing is great, and you've been doing that for 16 years. Wow. I am really in admiration for the job that you do, because I can relate when you were explaining because like you said, dyslexia appears differently for each one of us. Like for me, it appears when I am not on the paper. On paper, everything is fine. But when I read on a billboard, for example, from a distance, that's when in my brain, it doesn't work the same. Yes, so I just discovered that 4 years ago, everyone, and you might have it and not know. So until you start to go through your personal growth, then you realize, and it's nothing bad, because Albert Einstein suffered from dyslexia, and he was one of the greatest scientists,
So many of our most creative, amazing people are sports people. Probably most people know Richard Branson. He's very dyslexic. Jamie Oliver, the amazing chef, had a terrible at time, very dyslexic. Ian Wright, the footballer, if anyone's old enough to remember, he's not that old, but he's not current. So many, the list goes on and on, many, many musicians, because creative, talented, thinking outside the box skills society so badly needs. And the wonderful thing is, with these techniques, you can have all those brilliant things you can do that I can't, because my brain doesn't work in that creative way that yours might. And with this neurolinguistic programming process, you can read and write as easily as other people as well. And that's the beautiful thing. So you end up with double dose of brilliance.
Yes, instead of society having made a lot of people suffering from dyslexic like as a marginalized group, Absolutely. They are the group that need to be put on the front, because they've got that creativity. So they don't have much to do. It is there. Everybody has it, Everybody has it, but they have a bigger dose, like you said. Yes.
I think so, yeah. And I'm so glad that now the conversation around neurodiversity is much louder.
Yes.
And we are starting to understand and value differences
Mm.
much more, because we've been very rigid. You know, the only way you can show intelligence is through reading and writing. And that isn't true at all.
That is so right what you just said. Yeah, Lou. And Lou, you said that everybody has magic inside of them. Absolutely. You said you don't make magic, but you have magic. Everyone is a magician, you know. We are all magicians of our lives. We are all here to create the life that we desire. So whoever is listening, whatever you are going through, know that you can change anything using neuro-linguistic programming, changing the way you think. Like Dr. Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you think, the things around you changes too.
So true.
Yeah, it's so, so true. Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful talking to you, Lou. And time is flying. I've got so many questions. Let me ask you two more questions and then we'll end here. And my other question to you is, can you share from your experience working with children, can you share a specific story of a child whose transformation has deeply moved you after applying these methods?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. Now, it's funny you should ask that, because my husband and I were talking last night, and he said, of the hundreds of children and some adults that you've worked with, who is it that sticks in your mind the most?
Oh, wow.
And isn't it funny that he says, like he was preparing me, and I had to think for a moment, but I worked with a particular child, and I worked from him from age 7 or 8, and at the time I was a supply teacher in his class to begin with, and he was totally written off. The children didn't like him, the teachers didn't like him. He was labelled as naughty and lazy and difficult, and he was struggling, really desperately struggling. And this child was also adopted, so he'd, had a tough start. Lovely family that adopted him, I have to say. And he became one of my first students that I worked with. And he ended up, I worked with him for a very long time. I became a kind of mentor, I suppose, as much as anything. He learnt to read quite quickly. And we always got on very well. And I remember with him, not only did we have to get his creature to be still and stable, but also there was a little something in the way, and I found that he could read better when he moved. So we would walk, and every step became a word, and that somehow triggered his brain to read more fluently. And rolling forward to his GCSEs, the school he still was struggling at school to perform in the classroom because of the circumstances of the class, nothing to do with his ability. And I actually fought for him to sit his GCSE and kept saying, he can do this, he can do this. And in the end, the school agreed. And this child scored a level 6, which is the equivalent of the old B at GCSE. And they wouldn't have let him take it. He outscored not only all the children in his class, but many in the class above as well, and passed 7 or 8 GCSEs. And he's now doing really well. And this was a child who was totally written off. So he's one of my warmest memories, I think.
Oh, that is so nice. When you mentor them and you see them succeeding, it gives you so much joy, so much happiness.
Yeah.
Because nobody believed in them, but you believe in them and you made them believe in themselves, That's what they need.
So important. You're right. They have to believe in them. And then this morning I've been working with, I love them all, a lovely little child who read his first sentence today, bringing tears to his mum's eyes. And we did happy dances,
Yes.
I'm so privileged to do what I do. These moments happen to me day in, day out. And I'm so blessed to have this.
It's definitely, when you see the children making progress, it's a joy that can't be explained,
The best thing.
Yes. No money can give that. It's an internal joy, internal happiness. Yeah. And before my last question, what would you like to say today, Lou, to people who are listening and watching, who are going through some tough times? What advice or steps can you offer them to navigate and eventually overcome adversity?
Yeah, it's such an important thing to be able to do, isn't it? Because we all go through tough times. It was only a few years ago I was struggling myself because people were telling me that what I was doing couldn't be right and it wouldn't, I was a charlatan, and I knew that wasn't the case. But it was a tough time. And I think what my mantra, what gets me through is this too shall pass. This is not permanent. Nothing stays the same. And it's very easy when you're in the middle of a difficult time to get all engulfed in it. But there's always light on the other side. And I believe things always work out for the best. Sometimes we don't see why. So that's one. And just talk to people, share with friends, the people you love, and spend time with yourself. I find if I'm really, really down, it's good to talk to myself and tell myself, how am I feeling? Is this real? And just sort of be my own guide, take some time to be quiet, rather than letting all the noise interfere. But this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent.
I think that's beautifully said, Louise. And it's so important to spend that time with ourselves, because we are so busy with life. And today I had to do that. I say I need to spend even 10 minutes with myself before the podcast, because things keep coming and coming when we are working. But just to give ourselves that 5 minutes of connection back.
Yeah.
And it helped me so much. I feel so much better after having done that. So doing that throughout the day a few times will really help you to build that connection with yourself, to clear whatever emotions is being stuck at that moment. So yeah, I really appreciate everything you've shared today, Lou. And my final question to you: what projects or initiatives are you currently working on, and how can people stay updated or get in touch with you?
Well, there's a lot going on right now, which is very exciting. I have a series of packages which enables me to go into schools, and I can train teachers in schools, all the way from being more aware of dyslexia and what the children in their class might be experiencing, right up to teaching them how to do what I do to change it. So that's very exciting. I just got CPD, continuing professional development, accredited for that. So that's exciting that I'll be able to share my knowledge with teachers so more children can get the help they need. And at the same time, I'm also launching some training for individuals. Tutors, dyslexia specialists have been coming to me and saying, we want to learn, which is so lovely. So in the early part of next year, I will be setting out trainings for individual practitioners as well, because my vision, Rani, is to share this information with the world. I want that to be my legacy. It's really important that as many children who are struggling at school get the help that I know makes such a big difference. So I want to share it far and wide. So that's really where I'm headed at the moment. So you can find more. You wanted to know where to find information out. I should know these, shouldn't I? My website.
Yes, please.
My business is Unlock Learning. So my website is www.unlock learning.co.uk. And on that website, you will find links to be able to book a call with me, because I love talking to people. Any parents who are concerned, you can have a chat with me. Absolutely fine. And that's a free call because I just, I'm here to offer help and support and advice. You can also find me on Facebook, where I like to share other people's things as well as my own. And I'm going to read this to you, pop my glasses on so I can read it. That's www.facebook.com/unlocklearning. And you can find me on LinkedIn as Lou Barnes. And I think that's /Lou Barnes Unlock Learning on LinkedIn.
Lou, thank you. Congratulations for having received the approval.
Thank you.
To go to school, to teach. That's wonderful. And I'm really excited about the great projects for 2025 and ahead for you. So that is really, really beautiful to see you growing and to see you expanding your job, that you've put in so much. You put in so much of your heart into developing that for the past 16 years. And thank you for sharing your website, your links. It will appear below under your, just when you were saying those words, so the audience can see it. And yes, it's been a wonderful talking to you and having you, Lou. And thank you for all your time. And thank you for everybody for watching and sharing. And a few final words, Lou, before we end the podcast, you would like to share?
Yeah, just thank you so much for having me. It's always a privilege to be invited to speak, and always a privilege to know that people are listening. So thank you, anyone that's listened. And I hope something I've said will be helpful, because we need to share the love and share the knowledge, and we're all connected.
Absolutely. We are all connected. And thank you, everybody, for watching, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.